None of you were there to see what happened. None of you knows the truth.
You held a knife to his throat. You said I did warn you not to trust me.
Hey everybody, big news. The actors on Game of Thrones revealed a huge deleted scene that had something critical to do with the big Sansa Littlefinger Bran arc. So it's basically a deleted Bran scene. So this is going to be a breakdown of that, and there is a new round of the Game of Thrones giveaway. All you have to do to enter that is just be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. So everybody's been doing a lot of interviews with the actors, and they've been talking about scenes that didn't make it into the final cut, and because there are a lot of big things that get wrapped up in the finale, there were a lot of questions, especially with this Littlefinger plot. So one of the biggest things all season long is when did Arya and Sansa pick up on what Littlefinger was doing and try to turn the tables on him? So it turns out that there was a deleted scene in the finale. Isaac Hempstead Wright explains where they actually do that leads up to this big surprise for Littlefinger that it's not Arya that's on trial, it's him. So I'll just read the quote from the actor who plays Bran about what that scene was all about. So he says, "We actually did a scene that clearly got cut, a short scene with Sansa where she knocks on Bran's door and says, 'I need your help,' or something along those lines. So basically, as far as I know, the story was that it suddenly occurred to Sansa that she had a huge CCTV department at her discretion, and it might be a good idea to check with him first before she guts her own sister."
So tell me, what's the worst thing she could want?
She could want me dead. Because she thinks I wronged my family.
So she goes to Bran, and Bran tells her everything she needs to know, and she's like, oh shit. When we were watching the finale, that was sort of my takeaway. I just assumed that somewhere between this scene with Sansa and Littlefinger, where he tries to hypnotize her into coming to the conclusion that Arya wants to be the Lady of Winterfell, and this scene here, where they're all confronting him as a pack, where she went to Bran and he explained everything about the dagger and all the things that Littlefinger had done, putting the pieces together for her. So Sansa's then like, oh crap, I can't kill Arya. Arya's my friend. Littlefinger's the one that we need to kill. But the reason why they probably cut that out is one, for time, and two, so that it maintained the surprise of the Littlefinger twist. So the unfortunate part of that is that it makes everybody look really dumb, and it doesn't totally make sense at all. And it makes the director look like a bad director, because he didn't make it more clear when the light bulb went on in the actors' heads. Like, oh my god, we figured this out. Littlefinger's been playing us this whole time. Turns out that happened. They just cut out the scene for context that let you know that happened. But a good comparison to make would be like the Dragon Ex Machina, where Daenerys comes to save everybody when they're up in the north. Imagine that they cut that entire Gendry scene out with him running back, and she just showed up, and they wanted you to assume, oh, somebody probably went and sent a raven. So that's kind of what they did with the Littlefinger plot at Winterfell. But as far as deleted scenes go, the only other one that we know is confirmed is that there was a ghost scene that the writers wrote that just got cut for time. They actually filmed Jon saying goodbye to Ghost when he went to Dragonstone earlier in the season, just as a way to let you know what was going on with Ghost, but they cut it out. So for all of you asking, where is Ghost this whole time? He's still at Winterfell, and who knows if we're going to see him again. There's all these people talking about the Night King forming this wolf's head with all the dead as they're marching south of the wall. I think that's a hat tip to what's coming next. Like, we're coming for Winterfell. If you believe that really looks like a wolf's head, which I'm not 100% on. But I have seen a lot of people speculating based on that, like, oh, if they're making a wolf's head here, that must mean that Bran is the Night King. No, I will say flat out that does not guarantee that Bran is the Night King. I'm still not a big fan of that theory based on the evidence that people have provided. I'm going to need some stronger evidence. Most of the evidence that people have used in support of that have been Photoshop jobs, so it's been like fake evidence that they've used to confirm stuff. The strongest evidence against it is the fact that the actor who plays the Night King, like when he's underneath the makeup with the ice face, it's the same actor with this reddish hair when he's tied to the tree back during season 6. So these are the same two people here. It just his makeup makes his face look a little bit different when he's wearing it. But we can talk about more Night King stuff in another video. The really good Bran scene, I felt like probably one of the best Bran scenes all season long was when Samwell came back, because it let Bran be funny again. He's been this piece of wood the entire season. Like, human turnip is not a good look for Bran. So you have to imagine that Bran is sort of like the internet, the entirety of the internet. You can look up anything that you want, but Samwell is the Google search bar that just types stuff in. So I feel like they'll continue with that. It just works so well in this moment that why would you stop doing that? So the actor that plays Bran was asked about how he's going to tell Jon Snow about his heritage and how they're going to drop that big incest bomb. So none of the actors have seen their scripts for season 8 yet. They won't get those for a couple more weeks. So when they're answering these questions, it's just them speculating on their own characters. So he said because his personal skills are so terrible that Samwell would probably be the one to convey that information to Jon Snow. So the person to literally walk up to him and say, this is who you are, this is who your parents are, this is what it all means, you're the heir to the Iron Throne, that will probably wind up being Samwell, because it's actually a pretty good idea, but it will be in the presence of Bran and everyone else. So even though it's a big critical thing, it doesn't mean that Bran has to go sit by the fire or the weirwood the entire time. He can be around for this. It's just that Samwell has some of the more interpersonal skills that Bran is now lacking. So in the way that the Hound and Brienne is now like this really touching, funny duo, hopefully we'll get to see another moment with them, you also get stuff like that with Bran and Samwell's storyline. So I'm really hoping that they just keep them right next to each other for all of Season 8. But the interesting thing that they haven't talked about is that Bran, as the Three-Eyed Raven now, has access to all this information, but he also has all these other powers too that they haven't manifested yet. So he can warg big animals just like the Night King can, although it's slightly different because he's not warging undead animals. That's still a big question mark. So even though they're only using Bran as an encyclopedia to drop these big plot bombs, there's actually a lot of other things that he's capable of doing with his powers. It's just that they might be waiting for the Army of the Dead to make it much closer to Winterfell. So when they're all converging and the armies of the North are trying to fight the Army of the Dead, then maybe we'll get to see Bran use some of his crazy powers. But you have to remember that for all the animals that Bran can control, even if the Golden Company with their giant elephants they're bringing get controlled by Bran, then they could still be turned by the Night King the minute that they fall in battle. So there's going to be some big question marks about how they actually physically go about fighting the Army of the Dead, especially if they're not going to dip everybody's armor in dragonglass. There's still a bit of a question mark about how you have to land a killing blow with dragonglass. Will dragonglass bombs be effective against them? Could you actually mist the air and slow them down a little bit? So just remember, the real mission here is to crowd control all of these whites while you gank all the White Walkers and the Night King. So you really only need to kill them. You just need to keep the sea of dead whites at bay. So as long as you can find something to keep them busy while you kill the really important people, then you'll be fine. You don't have to walk around one at a time killing all those 100,000 whites. But hopefully that answers questions about the Littlefinger Bran Sansa storyline this season. I think, people were just a little upset because it seemed like it wasn't making sense. And now we know that's mostly because they were just cutting scenes out wholesale. So before they dropped this bomb, I was actually working on an Aegon video. That'll probably be my next video. And then I'll talk about Tyrion and Jaime and do other character videos. But leave all your requests in the comments below. There's going to be a whole bunch of Game of Thrones in the off season. And we haven't even gotten to the book stuff yet. So I'll say congratulations to the latest giveaway winner, Baynos. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. Your avatar actually reminds me, Westworld is going to drop probably in the spring next year. I haven't started doing a lot of Westworld videos, but once they start dropping footage, we'll start talking about all kinds of Westworld stuff. But while you wait for everything, you can click here for my Season 8 predictions, and you can click here to learn about why Daenerys might be able to get pregnant again. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.